What's up, internet comic book fam, and welcome back to a new video. It's that time of week again where we come together and sit down and take a look at all of the best and worst covers coming to your local comic book shop on this new comic book Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. We have a lot of titles to go over this week. We're doing the format of the show a little bit differently this time, and I feel like I'm saying that in every video, but we're going to go ahead and give you our best of the best and worst of the worst contenders right off the bat. And then we're going to get into our breakdown of each individual title. We're going to go to the same format, DC, Marvel, Independence. But on the screen, you're going to see the 8 cover first, a brief synopsis of what the issue is about. And then I'm going to give you my best pick of the week for that and my worst pick of the week for that particular book instead of showing every single cover on the screen. Also on the screen will be a description of why I felt it was the best and why I felt was the worst, really breaking it down and giving you more information. But I'm just going to go over a brief synopsis and overview of why I felt that way, just for time's sake. So with that being said, I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you're excited for New Comic Book Day, and let's get into what we're talking about this week. Starting us off for our best of the best, we have this Fantastic 449 Facsimile Edition 2025, this 1 in 25 Mike Mayhew variant. I thought this was the best of the best. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, look at that Galactus. Look at the detail in that Silver Surfer. That Silver Surfer is just absolutely beautiful. This cover perfectly captures the epic, overwhelming scale and majesty of Marvel's cosmic entities. It's not just a comic book cover. It's an invitation to gaze upon godlike beings, making it the undeniable star of the week. Up next, we have our worst of the worst cover, and that goes to this Batman and Robin Year 1, number 8. This 1 in 25 Andrew McLean cardstock cover. Man, that Batman is just awkwardly positioned behind Robin with him kind of just on that gravesite, but it almost looks like a bale of hay, and it looks like Robin is gripping onto it with the tears running down his face. It looks like Robin is ready to take it in from tip to root from Batman, and Batman is just very stoic about it. The art style, the stylized, almost intentionally simplistic art really emphasized the sadness, but it might be a bit too much emotional heavy lifting for a casual comic purchase. It's a powerful cover, but it's not exactly a pick-me-up or screaming pick-me-up, especially with that awkward pose of Batman behind Robin, as Robin looks like he's embracing to take it in, if you know what I mean. All right, so now we're going to move into DC Comics and all the books we have from DC Comics this week, and we have quite a few books. Kicking us off, we have Absolute Flash number 4 here. And for Absolute Flash number 4, I think that this cover B Hanning's variant is the absolute best offering this book has this week. The art style feels contemporary and fresh, appealing to both new and existing fans. It's clean yet full of detail, and the energy effects and costume design. It's just a beautiful overall cover. For the worst cover of the week for this Flash number 4, I had to go with this 125 Andrew McLean variant. This cover gives off very calm and content vibes. For a comic about a speedster, you usually want a whoosh, bam feeling right off the bat. This cover's artistic choices lean to a more subdued approach, which might not be what you're expecting when picking up a book about the Flash, but it certainly shows a unique take on the character. And I'm just not a fan of the simplicity of it. All the lines, that like energy field coming off of him. Look at that leg. Look at the foot. It just gives off a lot of Frank Miller vibes, and we all kind of know where Frank Miller is right now. He has his fans, but Frank Miller's career is definitely on the end, and it's seen better days as far as his art style goes. But it just gives off very Frank Miller vibes, and it's just not one that I'm really digging this week. Next up, we have Nightwing 127. And my best cover for Nightwing 127 goes to this cover C Juan Ferreira variant. Juan Ferreira is absolutely killing it in almost every cover he does. If you looked at last week's Eddie Brock Carnage or last week's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle C cover as perfect examples, Juan Ferreira's art is coming out everywhere. He's up and coming. He's really hopefully going to catch the heat he deserves here. But I think everything about this cover, from the pose to the lighting and the slight distorted perspective, screams energy. It's the kind of cover that makes you stop, stare, and then immediately want to open the comic to see what the other awesome moves Nightwing's pulling off. It's clear the artist aimed to create a truly thrilling snapshot of our hero in action, and I think he definitely nails that. And our worst cover of the week goes to this cover D 125 Surge Akuna variant. Sorry if I butchered that, Surge. Definitely putting Nightwing's glutes or Nightwing's assets in focus here. And as the star of the show, the artist clearly put a lot of effort into the dramatic scene, but it leaves you wondering what's going on rather than, wow, I need to know what's going on inside. It's a unique artistic choice, but sometimes a cover needs to be a bit more direct with its heroic punch. There's more emphasis on Nightwing's booty in Titan's Tower and the sky above. It just kind of feels like it all clashes with each other. It definitely feels like you're about to have a battle of an epic scale or something otherworldly is coming after you, but it just doesn't scream greatness to me, because with Nightwing, you want to see the face, you want to see the whole thing, not just his best asset, some might say. All right, moving on to Detective Comics 1098. My pick for best cover of the week on Detective Comics 1098 goes to this cover E 125 Ashley Wood variant. Now, I know I'm very usually critical on these Ashley Wood variants. They're very hit or miss for me, but I think this one is really good. The detail in Penguin, and then just almost that looming nightmarish Batman over him, like that Batman is a thing of Penguin's nightmares. This cover stands out due to its distinct artistic vision. It's not just a promotional image, it's a piece of art that could hang in a gallery. Its strong aesthetic choice makes it highly memorable and visually distinct from typical comic book covers. And I think it's just absolutely well done. That Penguin, from the tap, tap, tap to the falling pieces of paper, and just like I said, how Batman's kind of looming there as more of a haunting figure. It's just a beautiful, beautiful cover. And then from one beautiful cover to one that I'm not really digging is this cover C Chris Stevens Pride variant. Compared to the intensity and striking visuals of the other covers on this book this week, this one feels less impactful and less likely to grab attention on a crowded comic book shelf. The cute aesthetic clashes with the typical gritty tone of Detective Comic. If you look at Robin's pose, specifically his right arm and hand, it looks stiff and unnatural. The guy he's holding also appears awkwardly positioned, lacking natural flow, and the doves kind of overpower the picture. So it's just one that, compared to the other covers on this detective book this week, I'm just not really feeling. Moving on to Batman Superman World's Finest number 40. This is an awesome cover right here. This cover is incredibly memorable. It's not just a cool pose, it's a narrative concept that makes you smile and immediately wonder what wacky adventures led to this situation. It's a fantastic example of a cover that goes beyond just showcasing characters and instead delivers a compelling, humorous scene. I love that this cover immediately stands out because it's generally funny and unexpected, featuring Batman and Superman battling giant monsters and robots live on a talk show with a Gotham Tonight banner and the host looking bewildered is a stroke of genius. It tells a story in one image, which really is going to grab you and make you want to know, like I said, what's going on in those interiors. Up next for our worst cover of the week on this Batman Superman World's Finest, we have this cover C Adrian Gutierrez variant. I feel like a Batman and Superman comic should ideally showcase the dynamics between the two iconic heroes. Here they are, tiny specks on something else that giant robot head, losing the world's finest interaction that the title implies. The giant faceless robot Batman head dominating the bottom of the cover with tiny Superman and Robin flying above it. I feel like it creates a very odd and unclear sense of scale. It's hard to tell if the robot is part of the story or if the heroes are just really, really small, or if it's meant to be a statue. I just feel like there's not a clear direction here. And you would think that with it being Batman Superman World's Finest, you have a lot of emphasis on that Batman robot and Robin on his head, almost like Robin's piloting it. But that Superman is just a black silhouette with his iconic red trunks, cape, and symbol. There's not a lot of detail there that really makes that scream that this is a Batman Superman book. Up next, we have Wonder Woman 22, and my pick for best cover on Wonder Woman 22 goes to this cover F 125 Serge Acuna variant. I feel like this cover just makes you say, wow. It's a great example of a superhero looking her absolute best, and it grabs your attention right away. making you want to pick up the comic. The artist clearly put a lot of heart into making her look epic. Wonder Woman is looking incredibly strong and confident here, like she just finished her superhero workout and is ready to tackle anything. Her pose is powerful and dynamic, making her look like the amazing Amazonian that she is. Just a beautifully done cover. And for my not so favorite cover this week, we go to this cover A, the Daniel Sampre cover. Listen, this cover definitely wins the award for most likely to make you pause and say, huh? It's a very unusual take that might confuse new readers more than excite them for an adventure. A brave choice, but perhaps not the most effective for a comic cover. You got Wonder Woman looking right at us, but then there's this tiny gray mouse-like creature dangling right in front of her face, seemingly from her hands. It's an incredibly puzzling and unique artistic choice that might leave you scratching your head instead of grabbing the comic. Up next, we have Batman and Robin Year 1, number 8. This Clayface making house calls now, apparently. And my favorite cover of the week is this A cover, this Chris Samnee A cover. This cover has a magnificent quality. It's not about big action, but about big questions and cool characters. Drawing you right into the mysterious world of Gotham, the artist clearly put thought into a more conceptual and intriguing approach. This cover is just super cool because it's a big dynamic close-up. You see bits of Batman's intense scowl, a hint of Robin's fearful eye, and then you have who I'm assuming is Clayface wearing a fedora, and immediately this cover screams secret identity and shadowy detective work. It's a beautiful Batman and Robin Year 1 offering. To a not so beautiful Batman and Year 1 offering, we have this cover D125, Andrew McLean variant. While the artist clearly aimed for a certain classic style, the composition feels a little bit disjointed. It doesn't quite tell a clear story or invoke the immediate wow factor you hope for. It's a solid effort, but it might leave you wondering what the big event of the issue actually is. I mean, look at that Batman, how small. It looks like Glenn Danzig is cosplaying Batman there. Look at those knees muscles. Look at those arms. It almost looks like he runs like a gorilla on those arms. Look at that belt, that no waist. Like, it looks like Big Ed from 90 Day Fiancé cosplaying Batman or something. I don't know. And then what's Robin doing? Just doing a handstand up there. You got a very buff Batman looking very serious, standing front and center. Then way in the back, Robin's doing handstands on a ledge. It's a bit of a strange pairing of action, like they're on two different photo shoots and just got pasted together. Robin looks like he's just showing off, and Batman is barely noticing. It's just a weird choice. McLean is just not really sticking the landing, I feel like, this week. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Moving on, we got Titans 24. Looks like Tara's returning in this one. My favorite cover is this cover A by Pete Woods. I feel like this cover isn't just a pose. It's a scene that tells a compelling story and makes you initially curious. It's the kind of cover you'll remember long after you've read the comic, proving the artist thought outside the box for maximum impact. This cover, it's just laugh out loud brilliant and totally unique. Tara is cheerfully taking a selfie with a bunch of grinning skeletons, and the caption, "Now everybody say Tara is pure gold." It's unexpected, funny, and incredibly memorable, hinting at a wild story inside that I think just gives that je ne sais quoi, that oomph to make you want to pick it up off the shelf. And from a cover that I wasn't really digging, it's not that it's bad, but I have my reasons of why I didn't dig it. It's this cover B Homar variant. This cover features Tara just chilling out amongst some rocks. She looks like she's waiting for her coffee order, or maybe she's just finished a very intense session of rock arranging. It's perfectly fine art, but as a comic cover, it's about as exciting as watching paint dry. Unless that paint is a superhero battling a giant robot, in which case sign me up. She's certainly not going to win any most likely to leap into action awards based on this pose. It's a take a load off cover, and a superhero should be doing something kind of world. I mean, it's relatively static. She's in a seated pose. It allows for detail rendering of the character, but it lacks an immediate impact and dynamic often sought in a comic book cover. So it just, I think I had to put it in the worst cover of the week. Not that it's a bad cover. I think it's a really good looking cover, but I think just for the simplicity of it all and how really she's just taking a load off. It looks like she's just on our lunch break. Moving on, we got New Gods number 7. And for New Gods number 7, my favorite cover goes to this cover B, Dan Mora variant. The title, United They Stand, combined with all these powerful figures, tells you this isn't just any comic. It's a major event. This cover makes you want to immediately grab the issue and find out what grand cosmic drama is unfolding. The artist made this cover look as important as the story inside, and you can really tell that. I just feel like this cover just screams epic. You've got 2 major players shaking hands in the middle, surrounded by a whole gallery of other super important looking cosmic beings. It's like the biggest, most dramatic superhero convention ever, and everyone's dressed to impress for the fate of the universe. Yeah, shaking hands is in Superman's out there extending his hand. Batman and Wonder Woman are looking ready to go, and Wonder Woman, might I say, looking fine as hell right there. It is. You got Black Lightning, you got Flash, you got Green Lantern, you got everything that you need in this cover, and it's really, really well done. To a not so well done cover, you got this cover C, Clayton Henry variant. What is this cover? Unlike other covers that might show a fight, a mystery, or a dramatic moment, this one just shows 2 characters looking at the reader. It doesn't tell you anything about the adventure inside, making it feel a bit like a generic promo shot rather than a comic book cover that screams read me. The artist made a clean image, but it might not grab you as much as others. You got the fastest person alive is just there. He's looking at us with a bit of a grin, but there's no real sense of super speed or movement. It's like he's paused for a photo op mid-sprint, which for the Flash feels a little off. I get that they're supposed to be running in the Speed Force, potentially. It just, to me, doesn't work. Like, the Flash almost has this look on his face of like, I need to make it to the bathroom or I'm gonna, turn my trousers brown. It's just not a strong cover on this book, in my opinion. Next up, we have Zatanna number 5. And my best cover for Zatanna number 5 goes to this cover C, Sebastian Fumiara variant. Everything about this cover, from Zatanna's alluring expression to the perfectly balanced chaos of her magical effect, pulls you into a world of pure enchantment. The artist has woven together artistry and magic to create truly unforgettable imagery. This cover just oozes charm and a playful sophistication. You've got Zatanna looking absolutely captivating, while with a confident wink, surrounded by an enchanting cascade of magical elements. It's like she's inviting us into her world of wonders with a knowing glance. And for my not so great cover of the week, we go to this cover D, George Perez Legacy variant. And I just, these covers I think fail because the artistic style and realism of comic book art is just so vastly different today from back when George was doing his thing. Zatanna herself, while clearly ready for action, has a pose that feels a little rigid. For someone who manipulates reality, her stance is surprisingly grounded. The artist tried to convey power, but it comes across as slightly less fluid than we might expect from a master of illusion. It's like she's striking a pose for a school photo, but with magic. This cover has Zatanna in a very active pose, but the magical energy around her is a bit squiggly. It's supposed to be dynamic, but it looks less like powerful magic and more like she's trying to lasso a really enthusiastic worm. The artist was aiming for energy, but it feels a little less epic spell and more tangled glow stick. Like I said, just art has changed so much today that as though I accept and appreciate these classics from a legend like George Perez, just compared to the other covers, I feel like his cover isn't quite up to par on today's artistic abilities. Up next, we have Superman Unlimited number 2 coming to us from Dan Slott and Raphael Albuquerque. My best cover of the week goes to this cover D, Stephen Beach variant. What I love about this cover is that everything about this cover, from the unsettling greens to Superman's visible torment, makes you stop and stare. It's impactful, it's unique, and it immediately communicates a sense of dire peril for our hero. The artist delivered a punch to the gut in the best way possible. This cover just sucks you in with its eerie, vibrant greens. It's like Superman took a swim in a giant slushy of kryptonite, and somehow it looks terrifyingly beautiful. The artist made the glowy green feel truly oppressive and dangerous. pulling you right into Superman's struggle. And from a beautiful to a not so beautiful, here we go, Ashley Wood, you're back. Cover F, 1 in 50, Ashley Wood variant. Superman is synonymous with strength and heroism, but this cover lacks that immediate sense of power or dynamicism. He's very much covered up and blended into the textured, which, while artistically unique, doesn't scream Man of Steel save the day. It's a statement piece, but perhaps not the most inviting one for a hero known for his bright presence. This cover definitely makes you hunt for the hero. It looks less like a triumphant Superman and more like his cape and costume decided to go on a very textured, very dark picnic without him. The artist clearly went for a highly stylized approach, but it makes finding the Man of Steel a bit of an archaeological dig. Up next, we have Catwoman number 77. Rough landing. My best cover of the week for this Catwoman goes to this cover C, Dan Panozan variant. Everything about this cover, from her posture to the detailed environment, screams exciting caper ahead. It's dynamic without being overly action-packed, relying on a mood and suspense to draw you in. The artist packed so much narrative into one thrilling image. This cover immediately grabs your attention with Catwoman slyly peeking out from behind a massive vault door. It's not just a pose, it's a story. You can almost hear the mwahaha of her perfectly executed heist. The artist masterfully captured her stealth and cunning in one glance. And from our great cover to our not so great cover, we go to this cover A, Sebastian Fumiara variant, or cover. It's not a variant because it's a cover A. Between the obscure face and the harsh lighting and the distracting foreground elements, this cover ends up being a bit hard to fully appreciate. It has elements of cool, but they get lost in the overall execution, making it feel more like a rough draft than a polished, finished product. The artist had a concept, but the execution here just didn't quite stick the landing, in my opinion. While Catwoman's coat is certainly a statement, her face seems to be hiding in the shadows, obscured by goggles and less than clear facial structure. It's hard to connect with the character when her expression is a mystery and not in that cool, enigmatic way. The artist might have prioritized the mood, but it swallowed her features a bit. Moving on to Crypto, the Last Dog of Krypton, number 1 here by Ryan North and Mike Norton. We have our best cover of the week on this. Is this cover C, Dan Morrow's Superman movie variant. Everything about this cover, from the dynamic pose to the cheerful expression, makes you want to join them on their next flight. It's a classic, heartwarming take on the Man of Steel and his best boy, packed with optimism and ready for adventure. The artist hit a sweet spot for heroic and adorable, and it looks very much like Corn Sweat here and Crypto, very much taking inspiration from James Gunn's new Superman movie that comes out in a few weeks. This cover just radiates pure joy. You've got a smiling Superman looking absolutely heroic alongside a ridiculously happy flying Crypto. It's the ultimate best buds shot that instantly makes you feel good. The artist perfectly captured their bond and mutual delight in soaring through the skies. And then for our not so hot cover of the week, it goes to this cover, a Jay Lee cover. In this cover, you have a lot of desperate elements. The ring, the city, the odd bird, Crypto, baby Superman, and a weird floating ship at the bottom. But despite all these things, the cover feels oddly empty and lacking a strong focal point or clear narrative. It's a collection of interesting ideas that didn't quite gel into a cohesive, exciting image. While the idea of a portal or frame is neat, placing Crypto, a baby Kal-El, and a random bird in a giant empty white ring feels spatially confusing. They look less like they're flying through an epic landscape and more like they're trapped in a giant hula hoop. The artist attempted a unique composition, but it ended up feeling a bit isolated. It's not a bad cover, but again, like I said, what is with the giant ring? I don't know. I like the attempt at baby Kal-El and Crypto. I don't understand. The bird's an interesting choice, I guess, to show that they're in the sky, but like I said, just that giant hula hoop really threw me for a loop. All right, that's it for our DC offerings. Now we're going to get into our Marvel Comics offerings. And first up on the docket for us from Marvel Comics, we have the Ultimates 13. The second year of the Ultimates starts here with Ultimates 3.0. And the best cover on this Ultimate goes to this cover B, Federico Vincentini variant. Everything about this cover, from the individual heroic pose to the overall composition, screams epic superhero team up. It makes you want to immediately grab this issue and dive into the adventure. The artist delivered a classic, exhilarating group shot that just makes you say, yeah, science or magic or super strength, but you get the idea. This cover is an absolute feast for the eyes, packed with so many awesome heroes, each looking ready for action. It's like the artist knew we wanted a full superhero party and delivered with vibrant energy. You've got the whole gang looking powerful and ready to save the day. And from our best cover of the week on Ultimate 13, we go to our worst cover of the week, which goes to this cover A, this Dyke Runa cover. The Ultimates are known for their big, bombastic, high-stakes adventures. This cover, however, is the exact opposite. It's quiet, understated, and frankly, a bit boring for a team of world-saving superheroes. It doesn't convey any sense of excitement or the epic scale that the series usually delivers. It's a take it or leave it kind of cover, and we're leaning towards leave it. This cover is minimalist, to say the least. It looks less like a finished comic book cover and more like someone started to doodle on a whiteboard during a very important meeting. It's got a lot of white space, which can be artistic, but here it just feels a little empty, if I'm being honest. Next up, we have X-Men 18, beautiful Magneto cover, which happens to be our favorite cover this week. It's a cover A, Ryan Stegman cover. Everything about this cover, from Magneto's commanding pose to the surrounding destruction, makes you feel the sheer scope of his power and his unshakable will. It's a magnificent, dramatic piece that puts the X in exhilarating. Magneto is front and center, radiating pure, unadulterated power. His hands are up, he's surrounded by debris, and his expression just screams, "You are all in my house now." The artist captured his iconic presence perfectly, menacing, powerful, and utterly captivating. And from the power that is this X-Men A cover, we go to the not so great cover of the week. Is this Jan Bazaldo Bring on the Bad Guys variant? Sorry if I butchered that name. Look, while action-packed covers are great, this one goes beyond dynamic and veers into chaotic. It's loud, it's busy, and it lacks a clear storytelling that makes a cover truly effective. It's like trying to listen to 5 different conversations at once. You get bits and pieces, but nothing coherent. This cover has so many characters crammed into one space that it's hard to tell what's going on. It's like the artist tried to fit every X-Men and a few villains into one single postage stamp. It ends up feeling cluttered and confusing rather than epic. Moving on to the Amazing Spider-Man number 6. This is a new story here. Hellgate got a first appearance here in Hell's Gate from Joe Kelly, and goddamn, the return of John Romita Jr. Why are they doing this to us? Especially with the news coming out yesterday that now we're going to get, starting in September, 2 different Amazing Spider-Man titles. We're going to get Joe Kelly and Pepe Larraza doing Spider-Man in space. And then we're going to get Joe Kelly and John Romita Jr. doing Spider-Man street level, which I wish it was the other way around. I am so tired of John Romita Jr. on this book. I love John Romita Jr. for his Spider-Man back in the day, but now, like I've said many times before till I'm blue in the face, his blocky, just kick-ass style that he's never been able to get out of doesn't work for these characters. It worked for Kick-Ass because he was helping to establish that kick-ass character. With characters that are established, like Superman, Spider-Man, things like that he's done, this blocky, almost Cro-Magnon art style doesn't work for me. But my best cover of the week for this goes to this cover B, Pablo Sequeira, Bring on the Bad Guys variant. Everything about this cover, from the character design to the vibrant colors and explosive action, feels like it's jumping right out of a classic Spider-Man comic. It's got that timeless appeal that makes you want to pick it up and yell, "Go get him, Spidey." This cover is pure, unadulterated comic book action. Spider-Man is midair grappling with Green Goblin, and it's absolutely busting with energy. You can practically hear the thwip and that Goblin's crackle. The artist perfectly captured that classic superhero versus villain shadow. Just so well done. And from well done to our not so well done, we have this cover F Peach Momoko Marvel Rivals variant with Penny Parker and her Spider-Bot on the cover. Ultimately, while the art is certainly distinct and showcases a particular style, it completely misses the mark for what you'd expect or want from an Amazing Spider-Man cover. It lacks the iconic hero, the street level action, or the familiar villains. It's a variant that really is very variant in the stake that it is very traditional Japanese stylization with, you know, Penny Parker and her spider bot. But this cover is unique. It looks less like an Amazing Spider-Man cover and more like a concept art for a very niche, possibly terrifying Japanese monster robot cartoon. Spider-Man is nowhere in sight, which is a bit of a problem for Spider-Man comics. That's if you are familiar with Penny, that's if you're not familiar with Penny Parker and the Spider-Verse stuff, which I think most fans nowadays are. But just for me on a cover, it didn't really make sense. I appreciate Peach Momoko's attempt, but it just was kind of like, not the best cover. I don't know, Spider-Man book that really had maybe one or two good covers on it. There wasn't a lot of like covers that jumped out at me screaming, buy me, buy me, buy me this week on Amazing Spider-Man, if I'm being 100% honest. From Amazing Spider-Man, we go to the Avengers 27, The Return of the Black Panther. My best cover of the week for this cover goes to this Luciano Vicino Storm variant. It is the cover D. Listen, everything about this cover, from Storm's powerful stance to the surrounding element energy, screams iconic superhero. It's a vastly stunning portrayal of one of Marvel's greatest. Storm is absolutely owning this cover, if you ask me. Her pose is dynamic, powerful, and those flowing white locks look like they're being whipped by an epic hurricane of awesome. She's not just standing there, she's commanding the elements. The artist made her look truly majestic and in control. To a cover that makes no sense, I can appreciate Phineas and Ferb. I used to watch Phineas and Ferb when I was younger, and I've got siblings that were younger that watched Phineas and Ferb. I don't understand why it's on an Avengers book, but we have this cover C, Jacob Chatbot, Phineas and Ferb variant. Everything about this cover, from the unexpected characters to the widely different art style, make it the ultimate head scratcher. It's certainly memorable, but probably not for the reasons you'd pick up an Avengers comic. It's a fun novelty, but as a representation of the Avengers, it's about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Look, while I love a good crossover, seeing Agent P parry the platypus from Phineas and Ferb on an Avengers comic is, shall I say, unexpected. It's less Earth's mightiest heroes and more Earth's cutest semi-aquatic mammals. The artist certainly got the variant part right. It's very different from anything else you're going to find on an Avengers book this week. Now moving into Alien versus Avengers, the interesting mashup or crossover we didn't know we needed. And my favorite cover of the week for this book goes to this cover B, Jessica Fong variant. Everything about this cover screams, this is going to be a wild ride. It visually sells the high stakes of an alien encounter for a classic Marvel hero and Spider-Man, and it's absolutely thrilling. The artist delivered a truly unsettling and exciting cover. The cover is pure, terrifying genius. You've got our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man hanging upside down, looking like he's realizing he's in the absolute wrong neighborhood, surrounded by a chorus line of nightmare-inducing xenomorphs. The artist perfectly captured the oh crumbs moment, or oh shit moment, if you will, of this cover. Trying to cut back on the cursing a little bit. I don't know how well I'm doing at that, but you know, we're trying. And for my worst cover of the week, it goes to this. Oh, well, it's not a Jessica Fong variant. This cover C here, while it definitely shows a fight, the composition feels less like a decisive, impactful moment and more like a snapshot of a very busy mosh pit. It's got the elements, but the overall presentation struggles to deliver the clear, punchy visual storytelling you'd hope for from such an epic crossover. It's a valiant effort, but sometimes less is more when facing face huggers. And, you know, honestly, like, who are any of these heroes? Would you have guessed that that's potentially Captain Marvel up there? I mean, why is there two different Black Panthers there? Would you thought that was Wolverine in the middle there holding the head of one of the xenomorphs with his claws out? Is that Storm or Emma Frost shooting lightning out of her hands? You wouldn't know. You have no idea. You can't tell who any of these characters are. This cover is packed with so many characters and so much action that it's like a superhero potluck gone wild. You've got Avengers, you've got aliens, but the whole scene feels a bit cluttered, making it hard to tell who's doing what to whom. It's a bit of a chaotic dog pile of heroism and horror that just doesn't work for me, if I'm being brutally honest. But from one cover that doesn't work to me, we go into a new one that does, and Wolverine number 10. And the best cover of the week for Wolverine number 10 goes to this cover A, this Martin Coccolo variant. Listen, everything about this cover screams Wolverine. It's an iconic, powerful, and slightly terrifying portrait that leaves no doubt about whom's cover you're picking up. It's kind of a cover that makes you instinctively check and see if you still have all your fingers after reading it. This cover is pure, unadulterated Wolverine intensity. His eyes are narrowed, his brow is frowned. He's looking like he's about 1 second away from doing what he does best. You can practically hear the growl emanating from the pages. It's just a beautiful, well done Wolverine cover. But you can't all be winners, and we go to this cover C, Pasquale Ferry variant. While it's certainly a unique artistic interpretation, this cover doesn't immediately convey the raw power, anger, and sheer toughness that defines Wolverine as a character. It's an interesting concept, but it might leave fans wondering if Logan accidentally wandered into a costume party instead of a fight. Logan, our favorite gruff mutant, seems to be surrounded by translucent ghosts. It's a very specific choice, but it gives the cover a surprisingly quiet and almost ethereal feel, which isn't usually what you pick up a Wolverine comic for. We expect slashing, not spectral whispers. So it's one, and like, look at the claws. Come on, man. I applaud the artist in the detail of the ghost, but the Wolverine, I feel like, just doesn't hit the mark. Up next, we have Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu number 9. Moon Knight has a new Asgardian adversary. My favorite cover, and what I think is the best cover of the week, is this cover C variant, the Paolo Sequeira variant. I'm sorry if I butchered the name. This cover perfectly encapsulates Moon Knight's role as a shadowy yet powerful force for good. It's dramatic, action-packed, and promises a thrilling read where justice and maybe a few bones will be broken. It's a definitive Moon Knight moment. This cover is an absolute stunner. Moon Knight is captured mid-leap, cape flowing, crescent darts ready, looking like a terrifyingly graceful angel of vengeance. That artist nails the sense of weightless power and impending justice. It's a visually spectacular entrance and a beautiful, just the lens flare, just such a well done Moon Knight cover. Up next on the worst cover of the week goes to the cover A, Davide Pattore, A cover on Moon Knight number 9. While the artist certainly achieved a dark and gritty mood, the overall composition feels a bit murky and the narrative unclear. It's hard to immediately grasp what's happening or who this new bloody character is, which can be off-putting for a cover designed to grab attention. It's a mood, but perhaps not the most inviting one for a typical comic book pickup. While this cover certainly is intense, it looks like Moon Knight had a very bad night, and the guy standing over him is either his estranged, very angry uncle or someone who certainly skipped leg day. It's less Fist of Khonshu and more Fist of Ouch. Moving on to Iron Man number 9, and my best cover of the week on Iron Man number 9 is this A Yasmin Paturi cover. This cover delivers a powerful punch, visually representing the vulnerability of even the strongest heroes. It's a compelling, high-energy piece that promises a thrilling and potentially heartbreaking story inside. This cover is pure dramatic genius. You can particularly feel Tony Stark's pain and desperation as he's being ripped from his armor. His expression is fantastic, a raw human moment amidst all the superhero tech. It's like a personal check engine light just exploded. For the worst cover of the week, we go to this cover C. We have this cover C, Aureo Anandito variant. Listen, while technically sound, this cover doesn't convey the usual genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist energy or the sheer power of Iron Man. It's a bit too calm, a bit too quiet, and doesn't make you immediately think, I need to know what's happening next. It's a peaceful float, but not an epic flight. While this cover features Iron Man standing in the snow looking a bit sleepy, his repulsor rays are barely a flicker, and his posture is more, I'm contemplating a vastness of the universe than I'm about to punch an alien. He seems to be having an off day energy wise. I do appreciate the giant Buster sword in the background, but it just, I don't know, it just does not do it for me. Up next, we have Psylocke number 8. Haunted, Psylocke returns to Japan to confront the ghost of her childhood. And the best cover of the week on Psylocke number 8 goes to this 1 in 50 Puppeteer Lee Psylocke Virgin variant. This cover is beautiful. Her dynamic pose conveys both strength and agility. She looks poised, deadly, and utterly in control, making this cover a true work of art. This is a stunner. The vibrant pink background makes Psylocke pop, and the stylized flowers add a beautiful, almost serene contrast to her intense pose. She looks incredibly powerful and focused. With her katana ready for action, the way her hair flows adds such a dynamic energy to the piece. It's artistically action-packed and visually arresting, a total knockout. This cover perfectly blends beauty and badassery, in my opinion. And then we go into our not so great cover of the week. Is this cover a Muhammad Asar cover? A scream-worthy scene. While it's certainly a bold and unique take, this cover might have some readers checking under their beds before turning the page. It's a testament to the artist's ability to invoke a strong reaction, even if that reaction is a slight shiver. This cover, honestly, is definitely a choice. While it definitely grabs your attention with the double-faced action and gnarly hands, it leans a little too much into the horror movie vibe for a superhero comic. It's got some cool purple energy and dark shadows, but that facial distortion might send a few readers running for the hills. Points for being memorable, but maybe not for the right reasons. Moving on, we get into West Coast Avengers number 8. The competition between the Ultrons kicks into high gear. And our best cover of the week goes to this Godtail variant. Man, Godtail is just killing it on every book they do. Absolutely destroying it. This cover absolutely goes for broke with the visual flair, and it succeeds. The overlapping lines, the glowing eyes and chest, the sheer intensity. It's a brilliant, energetic spectacle that demands your attention and makes you wonder what kind of power Iron Man is unleashing. It's a fantastic example of using dynamic visuals to convey immense force. Listen, hold on to your repulsor rays, because this cover, while a bit wild, is the most visually exciting of the bunch this week. It's an absolute explosion of red and gold energy, making Iron Man look like he's either powering up to save the universe or just had a very intense argument with a rogue electrical outlet. It's got so much dynamic chaos and glowing lines that you can't help but stare, trying to unravel the awesome sci-fi mystery unfolding. Beautiful cover. Hats off to Godtail. Round of applause all the way around to Godtail for this absolute banger of a cover on a less than stellar West Coast Avengers book, in my personal opinion. But now we go to this cover B, Federico Vincentini, fantastic variant. While this cover's great, and it's great to feel close to the action, this cover gets a little bit too close, sacrificing the wider scene for a very specific and somewhat ambiguous moment of impact. It's got power. It's got perhaps not enough clarity to be the champion of the week. This cover is like walking in on a fight already in progress, but you only caught the very middle part of one punch. While Iron Man looks cool doing this thing, the giant red blur dominating the foreground makes you wonder if we're supposed to be impressed by a close-up of a wall or a very angry, abstract blob. It's got some cool shattering glass effects and dynamic motion, but it leaves you wanting a bit more of the actual Avengers part. Up next, we have Emma Frost, the White Queen number 1, and our best cover on this Emma Frost gotta go to this cover F1 and 25 Greg Land variant. Am I right? What makes this cover truly stand out is its focus on Emma Frost herself. There's no busy background to distract you. It's all about her unmistakable confidence and magnetic personality. She's simply there, and that's enough to make it the best ever. God, Greg Land killed this cover. This cover is an absolute knockout and instantly takes the crown for best of the week on this book. You've got Emma Frost, the one and only White Queen, staring right at you with those piercing eyes that could freeze you solid in a good way. It's all about her incredible presence, the flowing blonde hair, the iconic white coat, or corset, if you will, and the knowing smirk. She doesn't need a crazy background or action scene. She's in the action just by existing. Pure, unadulterated sass and sophistication only that Emma Frost can bring. Next up for worst covers, we have this cover B, Mike Henderson, Bring on the Bad Guys variant, which I'm assuming is a Maestro cover for Hulk. Listen, this cover is definitely different. While it promises Emma Frost, White Queen, our leading lady is doing a spectacular job of blending into a giant, very busy and somewhat grumpy Maestro or Maestro looking background character. It's got some cool orange glow and a fun little Bring on the Bad Guys tag, but Emma herself feels like a tiny detail in a much bigger and slightly confusing picture. It's like she's photobombing her own cover, baby. It just doesn't do it for me. I mean, I'm assuming that's Maestro, not 100%. I wonder if you'd even be able to tell that that's Emma Frost if it wasn't for her name being giantly splattered across the top of the book, but just not a cover I'm digging this week. And moving on to Godzilla vs. Avengers #1, round 5 versus the New Avengers. And for round 5, we have our best cover of the week goes to this 1 in 100 Mitsuru Artia Virgin variant. In my opinion, this cover perfectly captures the thrill of a giant monster brawl meets superheroics. It's the kind of over-the-top, imaginative fun that makes comic books so great. It delivers a punch or a stomp that makes it a clear winner. This cover is an absolute monster-sized winner and easily the best of the week. You've got the king of the monsters, Godzilla, looking suitably grumpy and colossal, about to throw down with wait for it, Ultraman? Seriously? How cool is that? Plus, there's a tiny Iron Man and others scurrying around below, making this a truly epic and delightfully bonkers showdown that screams must read. It's got everything: giant monsters, giant robots, and tiny heroes trying not to get squashed. What more could you really ask for? And going into our not so great cover of the week, we have this all red Godzilla King of Monsters homage variant. While this cover's art style is fun and retro, the sheer number of characters and monsters crammed into one frame makes it feel a little disjointed. It's got energy, but an energy that pulls you into too many directions at once, leaving you wondering where to look first. And if I'm being honest, this cover is certainly full of stuff. While it promises Godzilla King of Monsters, it's also got a whole bunch of heroes looking very confused and a rather odd assembly of other monsters. It feels a bit like a comic book yearbook where everyone's trying to squeeze into the same photo. There's a lot of vibrant colors, but it's hard to tell what's the main event when everyone's talking over each other and the King of Monsters is just chilling on top, or just chilling in the top corner. And what is with Fing Fang Foom's face? What is with the face on Captain America? Wolverine looking like he's got to drop a deuce with his bending claws. I don't know. It's just a cover that absolutely doesn't work for me. It looks like Godzilla has stank breath. Like, he opened his mouth to say, "Hi, guys." And Fing Fang Foom's like, "Whoa." Like, it looks like his nasty breath is about to put everyone down for the count. Next up, we have Jeff the Land Shark #1 coming at us. And our best of the week option for Jeff the Land Shark #1 goes to this 1 in 100 Stanley Artgerm Lou Marvel Rivals Virgin variant. What I think is so good about this cover is that the bright blue sky and the glowing light make the whole cover feel incredibly uplifting and happy. It's bursting of pure sunshine and cuteness, making it the undeniable highlight of the week. This cover is an absolute joy and without a doubt the best cover this week on this book. You've got Jeb the Land Shark looking utterly delighted, splashing around in crystal clear water with giant healing bubbles floating all around him. His tongue is out, his paws are up, and he's just radiating pure, unadulterated happiness. It's so bright, so cheerful, and so perfectly captures the lovable essence of our favorite land shark. It's impossible not to smile, especially if you're a Jeff the Land Shark main on Marvel Rivals, man. Why not pick this Artgerm cover up? Speaking of that, a cover I'm not picking up is this cover D. This art style, although not bad, just doesn't really do it for me. The smooth lines and almost cartoonish style are charming, but they might not scratch the itch for readers craving gritty, detailed superhero battles. It's more Sunday morning cartoon than epic showdown. I mean, listen, this cover is undeniably cute, but it's more like a lovely holiday card than a pulse-pounding comic book cover. While it perfectly captures Jeff being adorable with the Fantastic Four, it's a bit too chill for a worst of the week winner. Everyone looks so relaxed, and there's not a single villain or explosion in sight. It's just got a charming, clean art style. But if you're looking for more of that superhero action on the cover, this cover is clearly having a very nice, quiet afternoon. Not one that you expect from this book, but I mean, it does kind of fit the ideal of Jeff and the allure of Jeff. But again, I'm just not a giant fan of the art style on this. So that's why I put it on the worst cover of the week compared to the others. Moving on to our next best cover of the week, we got Bring the Bad Guys #1 of Doom. Doom #1. The balance of power is forever changed. Best cover of the week goes to this cover A, Lee Bermejo cover. Look, I like this book because I feel like the title, Bring on the Bad Guys, Doom, is perfectly showcased, and this cover delivers on the promise 100%. It's bold, it's powerful, and it makes you want to immediately bow down, or at least open the comic. This cover is an absolute masterclass in villainy and easily takes the top spot on this book this week. You've got Dr. Doom himself looking utterly majestic and menacing in his iconic armor and cloak, with one hand particularly glowing with raw cosmic energy. And what's that? The Thing's rocky fist is right there, hinting at a truly epic showdown. It's got incredible detail, dramatic lighting, and an undeniable aura of you're about to get doomed. A perfect blend of power and presence. And definitely the cover I'm picking up, because that cover is just so damn sexy. From a cover that's so damn sexy to a cover that's not so sexy, we got this cover D Kevin Eastman variant. Kevin Eastman's art is fantastic. As an old school original Turtles fan, I love Kevin Eastman's art on Turtles books, but I feel like Kevin Eastman's art does not work so well on other books that are not Turtles. So when it comes to this cover, while representing the artistic choice, this cover leans heavily into a specific, almost vintage comic book art style that might feel less cutting edge compared to other weekly releases. It's got personality, but it might not be the most universally appealing modern looking Dr. Doom. This cover certainly screams Dr. Doom, but it's got a very distinct, almost retro video game vibe that might not be everyone's cup of tea. While Doom looks appropriately menacing with his glowing green hand, the overall look with the bold outlines and almost blocky fire makes it feel a bit like he's just stepped out of an 8-bit battle. It's got plenty of intensity, but it's not quite the smooth, polished look you might expect from a modern villainous masterpiece, especially one containing Dr. Doom. Moving on to Fantastic Four Fanfare #2, the celebration of Marvel's first family continues with 3 all-new tales from Marvel's finest talents. My favorite cover of the week goes to this cover A, Claudio Castellini variant. This cover delivers that timeless, heroic Fantastic Four feel, blending classic character design and vibrant modern redesigning. It's truly a fanfare for the Fantastic Four. This cover is an absolute powerhouse of classic superhero awesomeness and easily takes the top spot on this book this week. You've got the entire Fantastic Four team looking iconic and incredibly powerful, each showing off their signature abilities. The Human Torch is a blazing beacon of glory. Mr. Fantastic is cool and collected. Invisible Woman is radiating force fields, and the Thing is, well, you know, the Thing. Big, rocky, and ready for clobbering time. It's a dynamic, heroic, and perfectly balanced portrayal of Marvel's first family, if you ask me. And with that said, we go to our not so great cover of the week. Look no further than this 1 in 50 Howard Chaykin Hidden Gems variant. Perfectly fine to highlight one character, this cover feels a little generic as a Fantastic Four issue, focusing too much on just one member and a less than thrilling environment. It's cool, but not quite fantastic enough. This cover puts the Human Torch front and center, looking all fiery and cool, but it's a bit of a solo act in a dark, mysterious setting. While Johnny is certainly fantastic, the rest of the Fantastic Four are nowhere in sight. And the background looks like a gloomy industrial park with some abstract light beams. It's got energy, but it feels like the whole Fantastic Four party got a bit split up. And we're just seeing one hero doing a flyby over a slightly depressing landscape. Is it a connecting cover? I don't know. They haven't said. But this looks more like Johnny's rushing to the bathroom than he is anywhere rushing to save the day. That's it for our Marvel. Now we're going to get into our independents. A lot of the independent books didn't have lot to choose from. They had maybe one or two covers. There wasn't a good pool to pull from, so I just picked what was out there that had a lot of offerings. And first up, we're going to start off, of course, with Invincible Universe Battle Beast #2. Some of you might have gotten this book early if you pulled it out of those blind bags that came out with the Battle Beast release last month, but issue 2 is finally on the shelves for everyone else to enjoy that might not have pulled that. And my favorite cover of the week is this cover at this 1/100 Libre Mejo variant. This cover is just dripping with cool factor. It perfectly captures the raw power and warrior spirit of Battle Beast, making it an instant standout on the comic book rack and a clear winner this week, even though it is a 1/100 ratio variant. This cover is an absolute beast and easily snatches the best of the week title. You've got Battle Beast looking utterly ferocious and magnificent with his razor sharp sword raised high, ready to unleash a world of pain. The sheer power radiating from his muscular frame, the intensity in his eyes, and that incredible lion-like facade, making this cover a true force of nature. Plus, the stormy electric background just amps up the epic vibes, man. It's a primal, powerful, and visually stunning piece that demands your attention. But all the covers on this week were real strong, and it's not that this Ryan Otley cover is bad. It's just very much the weaker of all the covers this week. While it's a testament to the artist's ability to create a visceral image, this cover might be a bit too intense for some readers, especially if they prefer their comic covers to be less literally messy. It's strong, but perhaps too much before breakfast. This cover is certainly impactful. You've got Battle Beast looking incredibly intense and covered in what appears to be a lot of blood, with his hands dripping and his face splattered. While it definitely screams battle, it might be a bit much for those who prefer their heroes or anti-heroes to be a little less freshly stagnated. It's got an undeniable gritty realism, but for a casual comic pick, it might send you reaching for a bar of soap instead of your wallet. A little too much aftermath, perhaps. Still a great cover, but like I said, just with the other covers and how strong they are, especially that, like, let's just appreciate this Libre Mejo cover again, shall we? With covers like that, this one isn't bad. The art is great. It just made it to the worst cover of the week because it's the weakest offering from this title this week. Then we move into G.I. Joe #8. Major Blood is back for revenge against the woman who took his eye, the Baroness. And on the best cover of the week, we got this cover G. Jason Howard, Energon Universe 2nd Anniversary Connected Version variant. This cover isn't just good, it's a dream come true for anyone who ever played with Transformers and G.I. Joe figures together. It's fun, it's packed with detail, it's dynamic, and it promises an adventure of epic proportions. It says, come on in. The chaos is amazing. This cover doesn't just win the week, it probably wins the month and gets a gold star for pure, unadulterated comic book joy. But again, that Silver Surfer detail on that facsimile cover was just a little bit more. It just edged this a little bit more. This was more like my childhood, putting it on a pedestal versus the actual art speaking for itself. And I had to go with the actual art. That's why that Fantastic Four facsimile got the nod for the best of the best in this week's group of covers. But on this cover, you've got Optimus Prime, the big man himself, stomping through the middle like he owns the place, which, let's be real, he kind of does. Surrounded by literally an army of Transformers, and because why not, a whole squad of G.I. Joes. It's the ultimate toy box mashup brought to life, and it just pops with glorious chaotic energy. This is just what I used to do in my bedroom, man. I would set up battles with the Transformers and G.I. Joes on one team and Cobra and the Decepticons on another, and they would just have a giant battle. You had Snake Eyes and Duke riding on the shoulders of Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. You had Cobra Commander and Destro hanging out on Soundwave and Megatron. It's just what I did. This cover screams childhood to me, takes me back to so many nostalgia memories. It's just an absolute banger, even if the face on Duke and the Baroness and the G.I. Joe characters are a little wonky. But moving on to our worst cover of the week, we got this cover D125 Marco Ferreri variant. In a week full of potentially awesome comic covers, this one manages to stand out by being uniquely uninspired. It's a jumble of odd choices that, when combined, create a cover that makes you think less G.I. Joe and more, oh dear, it's so bad, it's almost good for a laugh. I understand it's got that classic G.I. Joe action figure card backing on it, but just the art on Major Blood is just very wonky, and it's definitely a choice. I feel like this cover just screams, what in the world is happening? You've got Major Blood, a character known for being a bit of a tough guy, awkwardly floating in midair, clutching a giant gun that looks like it belongs in a sci-fi spaghetti western or an anime like Cowboy Bebop or Trigun. It's like he's trying to strike a dramatic pose, but just ends up looking like he's tripped and forgot how gravity works. It's just not great, in my opinion, compared to the other covers. But I do got to give it a nod for that classic card backing background. Then we got probably the book that I'm absolutely looking forward to. Issue 1 of this book was an absolute banger. Exquisite Corpses #2. If you're not reading Exquisite Corpses, go out and pick up issue 1. It's like The Purge meets Hunger Games, in my opinion, if that doesn't sound awesome on its own, right? The best cover of the week for me goes to the Cover D Tula Lote Stealth Virgin variant. This cover isn't just pretty, it's evocative and powerful. It perfectly blends elements of romance, danger, and artistic flair to create something truly memorable. It promises a story that is rich in emotion and high on drama, making you desperate to open it up and find out why a fencing foil is being involved, and in what way, and in what looks like a very intense kiss. It definitely takes the gold medal for best of the covers of this week on this book for its sheer captivating power. This cover just screams dynamic and dramatic romance with a dangerous twist. You've got two figures locked in an embrace that both tender and tense, with a fencing foil seemingly piercing right through them. It's not just a cover, it's a snapshot of a moment right out of a passionate, high-stakes drama. The use of all those pinks and reds just amps up the feeling of intense emotion and maybe a little bit of beautiful chaos. And from a great cover to a not so great cover, you have this cover E1 in 25 Riley Rossmo Virgin variant. This cover tries to be edgy and menacing, but it just ends up being a strange blend of circus oddity and grotesque violence. The character design is perplexing, the background is messy, and the overall effect is more, what are they thinking, than I need to read this. It's a busy, baffling cover that definitely earns a spot at the bottom of the pile this week. If you ask me, this cover features a ridiculously muscular guy who looks like he just finished a heavy lifting session at a carnival. Complete with a tiny top hat and vest and rose on it, he's holding a giant bloody mallet like he's about to play whack-a-mole with someone's head. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? A disgruntled circus performer? It's so bizarrely specific yet completely unidentifiable. It just leaves you scratching your head, questioning exactly what's going on, especially when I don't feel like it really fits with the story that we started out with, at least in my opinion. But that's it. Those are our covers for this week on all of our books. I can't wait to hear what you guys picked up. Let me know in the comment section below what your favorite cover this week was, what you picked up, all that gritty goodness. If you like this video and you like this format, let me know in the comment section below, but make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those notification bells on so you know whenever we upload all of our new videos. Make sure to stick around and check out our pickups from last week and our pickups from this week once those have been acquired and that video has been posted. But on that note, thank you all so much for watching. If you want more content like this, make sure to check out something at the end of this video over my beautiful face. And with that being said, have a great week. Enjoy New Comic Book Day, and we'll see you right back here next week around the spinner rack.
In the shadow.